Hi, I'm Roxy Rose, and I'm just so excited to be doing some more videos. And I'm glad you like the other videos that I released. And well, for those of you who are just tuning in to me, just a little bit of background information. I'm a pre-op transsexual. I turned 50 in February 2013. So most of my videos are to address some of the issues that us transgender people go through in midlife. It's quite complicated situation. Although a lot of the issues us transgender people have to go through are similar, being older could mean careers, that we have to deal with, family, children, and spouses that we have to deal with. So there are some compound problems. But then, like today, what we're going to be talking about is communicating, forming connections, and the energy exchange between peoples that their energies react during a connection. And that is across the board helpful to all people, and in particular, though, us transgender people, because of our insecurities and our self-talk in our heads, we have a hard time sometimes expressing our true desire to connect with people because we want to keep ourselves, at arm's length because we're afraid, really, of their reactions. But we're going to have to get past that. Now, that has to do with self-confidence, self-loathing, and that inner dialogue and the many different personalities that we have, which we're going to cover on a different video. But right now, I want to just tell you and try to expose you to some of the things that I've learned along the way. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is I'll relay a bit of a story. Actually, this story comes to you from my ex-wife. For those of you who don't know, I was married for 30 years, and this last year my divorce was final. I was married to a lady named Patty, and she's a genuinely nice person. And I have to apologize because some of my previous videos really had a lot of negative connotations in the way I handled my divorce, and I even shed negative light on Patty, which I regret. And she, like I said, she's a genuinely nice person, and I'll explain some of her personality to you here because it taught me some really beautiful aspects of communication. Well, Patty has always been interested in old people. She always had a fondness for old people, and I don't blame her. Old people are great. They're not very judgmental. They just love the company. It doesn't matter who you are. They're just thrilled with the company. And they have such amazing, beautiful stories to tell. I love to listen to older people. But anyways, Patty had always had a fondness for old people, and she liked the clothing that she wore, the hand crocheted sweaters that they wore, and the tapestry purses. Sometimes we would go shopping at a thrift store, and she would pick out a genuinely old tapestry purse or something, and she'd model it for us. And my daughter and I would look at her and say, "No, that's for old people." But she was so her interest and love for old people was genuine. But about 5 years ago, before I transitioned and before I was divorced, about 5 years ago, she started taking a very special interest in old people. And she made it a point in the market when she saw that old lady or old man slouched over the shopping cart and just walking so slowly, like they were energy misers, conserving every little bit of energy, like they didn't have any to go around. Well, she would pick out something to compliment them on. If not just the beautiful day we're having, but she would genuinely pick out something, and this was easy for her because she actually liked those old tapestry purses and those crocheted sweaters. So she was genuine, and that's really important. So don't go hunt down an old lady If you don't like crocheted sweaters, and tell her that her sweater is a beautiful sweater, because that will come through, and there will be a lack of genuineness there, and there will be no energy exchange. Trust me. So Patty would come up to these old people and say, that is just the most prettiest tapestry purse. And these old people would, from their slouch, straighten up, and color would come into their face, a smile, and they were thrilled. And then Patty would play off their energy, that all of a sudden they had this enormous amount of energy. They were just kind of conserving it, waiting for the right time. But we all want to absorb other people's energies, because we're all kind of selfish that way. And then Patty's energy would start to vibrate, and the two energies would interact. And the conversation would take off like a jet airplane, and it was on autopilot. There was no stopping it. You'd had two parties that were genuinely interested in each other, and the conversation would take off. And like I said, it'd be on autopilot. There was no work that had to be done. And the two energies just reacted. And whenever you have two energies that react, you always end up with more than what you started with. And it was really interesting. And after the conversation ended and the two parties went on their way, the energy levels still stayed with the older person and with Patty for quite some time. Patty's posture would improve during that conversation, and color came into her face, and it was good for the rest of the day, if not to the next day. In fact, now and then, because we kind of repeated our scenarios every day, we would run into that same lady the next day, and then she'd be pushing her cart kind of slouched over, and without a word spoken, if she noticed Patty, she would straighten up and smile, and she was ready to expend energy, because she liked the exchange of energy that took place. And here's an interesting byproduct of all that. After the conversation between Patty and the old person took place, I made sure that I was very complimentary on how Patty handled herself, and that I was really proud of her for doing that, because I thought it was such a nice thing to do. But there was a underlying motive there. By me doing that, by me expressing my appreciation to Patty, I was actually then I was being part of the energy exchange, and I was actually absorbing energy from that reaction between her and the older lady. And so I was kind of a bit of an energy leech, because I had social anxiety disorder, so I could never do anything of that sort. But Patty did it on our behalf, and I kind of absorbed the energy. And then I walked around, with better color and feeling better about myself. So you see, this initial expenditure of energy will come back to you, and you'll end up with more energy than you expended. And granted that that sometimes your energy is going to fall flat, and your effort isn't going to pay off. But at least you have that within yourself. At least you're not an energy miser and holding on to all your energy, even if it doesn't work out sometimes. Now, let's take, for instance, you walk into Starbucks. Now, it's a little bit difficult there to form a connection with the lady that might be lady or man that might be taking your order, because they're being paid to do a job. They're on the clock. They have certain parameters that they have to work within, because they can't spend too much time. There may be a line of people, and who knows, and it's just difficult for them. And besides, they might not be the type of person that's going to accept your interaction of energies here. But they will, because they're being paid for, they will express niceties toward you. But let's just say you walk into Starbucks, and it's time for you to place your order, and the lady behind the counter says, "Hello, ma'am, what can I get started for you today?" And then you say hello back, and you say, "I'll have a Venti 2-pump skinny mocha, 190 degrees." And the lady says, okay, and what's your name? And she writes it on the cup. And then she runs the register and asks you if you need a receipt. Simple as that, and have a nice day, and no reaction whatsoever. Energy levels that are expended by both parties were almost immeasurable, and nothing goes on there. You had communication. You smiled, you said hi, you said, it was nice, but that was just simple communication. But we want to have connections. And that's when we will get that energy exchange by the energy reacting between the two. So when you walk into Starbucks, and like I said, the lady behind the counter is paid to say, hello, what can I get started for you? Well, what you should try to do is make sure you're the first person to say hello. You're not being paid for it, and she's going to know that. And she's going to know, even though it's just momentary, she's going to know that you extended yourself. Very simple. So what can I get started for you? Well, you could rattle off a 2-pump skinny mocha, 190 degrees. Or you could say, well, today I am, don't dilly-dally. But you don't have to be short, and you could add just the slightest bit of information that may be not necessary, that gets them at ease. The other person hearing this feels the ease in which you're expressing, and they will emulate that feeling. They'll duplicate that feeling. And if you feel at ease versus very uptight, very insecure, which they will also emulate. So if you express a little confidence and a little ease, they'll also get that feeling and express it right back to you. If you walk in there and if you're dark sunglasses and if you talk very softly, I will have a, then they're going to say, okay, what name can I put on the cup? So, they will duplicate the behavior that they're seeing, because most people are really just followers and copycats, really. But there's something that goes on during an interaction called synchronicity, and I'll explain that a little later. So you be the first one to say, good morning, and isn't this a beautiful day? And then she says, yes, what can I get started for you? And then you tell her your order. And then she says, okay, what name can I put on the cup? And you say, if your name's Roxy like mine, you'll say Roxy. And we all like our name heard, and we like it written down too. I mean, we just like our name, don't we? And so at that time, take the opportunity to ask her. She might even have a name tag, but that's okay. But ask her name at the same time, or his name. What name can I put on the cup? Roxy. And what's your name? Sandra. Well, Sandra, nice to meet you. Okay, a little expenditure of energy, and she will love to hear, or she or he will love to hear her name, just like we all do, and they'll know you made that effort, and then that's when connections could actually take place. Also, I want to talk to you just a little bit about synchronicity. It's a really interesting concept, and it definitely works, and I really don't understand, except for the fact that most people are followers. Most of people just do the same thing as other people, but if you take the initiative, and if you duplicate their behavior, their body language, their stance, the funny thing is, if you duplicate their body language, they feel subconsciously that you have approved of them. By mimicking their body language, it's showing approval for their body language in your body language. And body language is really important. So if you come in with an overcoat, if it's 90 degrees out there, and you come in with an overcoat, dark sunglasses, and head held down, they're paid to be nice, and they're paid to say hi and try to draw out the customer, but they're going to respond in like manner. So and then you both leave with negative energy. So it's important that that you present yourself well, and don't get past that insecurity, because the only way you're going to get past these insecurities is by feeling good about yourself. The way you feel good about yourself is by having these connections and this exchange and reaction of energies between people, because you just can't go it alone, and you just can't you need interaction. You need that human interaction. And us transgender women and men, we're an island, and we isolate ourselves, and because of rejection from public, we don't interact in public, and we don't form these connections, and pretty soon we're starving ourselves of this energy that we so desperately need. So when you're standing there in Starbucks, or anywhere, restaurant or something like that, there's a few things that are really important, and that's body language. That's and articulation, the words you choose to use, but less important. And then there's let's see, there's body language, and then there's voice and tonality. And even if you have a hard time with your voice, there's still tonality, and even if your voice breaks a little bit, they will sense a certain tone in your voice. We're not talking feminine or masculine here. We're talking about tonality that will express to them your feelings, and you have to genuinely be feeling those feelings. And like I said, even if your voice breaks, it's okay. They get the feeling subconsciously of your feeling by the tone in your voice. So that's something that you need to work on too. But the most important thing is body language. That is the most important thing. Now, here's something that I always have trouble with. I have a problem with my hands. They're big, yes, and I have rheumatoid arthritis, which makes the knuckles overdeveloped. And anyways, so I hide my hands. I do this to hide my hands. I don't do this to close people off and to be unsociable. But this is one of the body language signs that tells people, I don't want any part of you. I'm closed off, closed for business. Don't bother knocking. So, and that could be, an overcoat pulled tightly around you. That's closed off. For instance, walk up to a guy that has all the buttons on his suit coat buttoned up. Well, he's a bit more closed off. And then now walk up to a guy and he has his same suit coat, unbuttoned. He's receptive. And our body language is like that too, how our arms are placed and how we're standing. You want to always have a youthful stance. We'll get into that another video about trying to be and display yourself youthful, not in a crazy way, but you want a youthful stance and walk. Something not so stiff if possible. I know we're all pretty old, so sometimes our stiff joints and everything dictate how we move. But people find movement very important as to who you are. If you walk in very stiff, can't move your head very much, don't move your shoulders, people find that not a as if you're not receptive, or you don't have the energy to exchange, and so they won't waste their time on you. So you want to remember posture and always be open, with your arms, and you don't have to dance around when you're standing in line. And I see some girls, they'll start dancing around, to the girl from Ipanema or something like that, which has no beat whatsoever. But But don't stand so stiff. You know, let people know that you're alive and you have energy. And if you show people that you have energy and you're willing to expend it, their energy leeches too. We're all kind of narcissistic that way. We want that energy from you. We're all selfish that way. We want that energy, and if they see you with some energy, they want it too, and they'll come after it. They'll come after it and they'll get it from you. So anyways, that's been a little bit about communicating and forming connections. And, you know, it's really important to form those connections. You can't live on your own. You can't be an island. You have to interact with people. We need that human connection. We need that from people. Otherwise, you're just going to run out of energy, and just life won't feel good to you. So go out there and interact and form connections. Don't just communicate. And remember to be genuine. And everyone has that ability to be genuine. We just have to kind of find our niche in how we react to different people. You're not going to be able to react to every single person. You just won't have compatible energies that are compatible. So you have to find those people with the energies that are similar to you, so that when you do have that reaction, that both of you leave with much more energy than you had before. So this has been Roxy Rose talking about handling yourself and forming connections in public, getting out there, expending some energy. My next video that I'll be releasing will talk about voice control. Very difficult issue. And some people say they like my voice. I think, you know, I need to still work on it. But and a lot has to do with genetics and the influence of testosterone. I'll admit that. And but we're going to talk about voice and how to exercise your voice. And trust me, mine wasn't like this originally, and mine cracked, and I couldn't talk very loud at first. But with exercise and technique, you should be able to improve your voice, no matter who you are. Even if you are, you know, somewhat of a Barry White sounding person, you can improve your voice. It is very difficult, but that's for the next video. But meanwhile, go out there and form some connections. Remember to love yourself, love everybody. Remember that Roxy Rose loves you dearly, and I hope you can love yourself too. So this has been Roxy Rose talking about transitioning late life, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.